Thanks, John. Before I say anything else, there are a number of heartfelt thanks that are in order. First to John Gay of Justin Press in Ottawa, both for publishing the book and then for coming down today for the launch. Thanks also to Mark Pittam and to Hilary for allowing us to have the launch at Oxford Bookshop, as I always tell people, the only real bookshop left in London. And thanks also to two of the finest writers in Canada, I think the two finest journalists in Canada, David Warren, who couldn't be here, Herman Gooden isn't here, but is en route, for their reviewing the manuscript and their comments that they allowed me to put on the back of the book. I want to thank my sister-in-law Annegret, who designed the cover of the book, and my son Colin, who dealt with aplomb and with grace and without complaint with all the technical details. I know how to boot up, but once I've done that, I know how to do nothing else. And I want to thank each of you for coming today. Without people who buy and read books, this world would be an inconsolably gray and inhospitable place. Here's the difficulty. A couple of people have come up and said, what's the book about? Well, it's a good question to ask, but alas, it's not an easy question to answer. It's about a lot of things, actually. The subjects covered in the book are diverse: literature, politics, law, morals, how we lost our legal system, journeys, spiritual and temporal, ideas, authors. There's even a long chapter on the gunfight that did not happen at the OK Corral. The American jurist Felix Frankfurter, when he retired from the Supreme Court of the United States, did a somewhat similar book, and he called it Of Law and Life and Other Things That Matter. And I'm content that that's a pretty good description of what's in the book. It's about law and life and other things that matter. Having said that, I'd like to read one short piece from the book that has nothing to do with any of the above. It was first published in 2007, and it's called A Golden Lost and Found. Fitting, I suppose, that it was on a Friday, the 13th, 1 week shy of her 13th birthday when we lost her. We knew that her eyesight had been failing, and on her twice daily walks she was noticeably slower. Sometimes she would sit and hold up a paw, not because on inspection there was anything wrong with it, but just, I concluded, as a kind of mute reproof to the decrepitude of advancing age. That particular morning we had taken her to the vet for tests that in the end failed to reveal much. But x-rays disclosed the worst, a large tumor in her stomach. The vet, and it was Dr. John, for those who knew Dr. John, the vet could not have been kinder or more sensitive. You can take her home tonight, he said to me, or even for the next day or two. I'll be in tomorrow and the next day. It took a moment to sink in. He was telling us that this was the time we had dreaded, and whether we put Sheena down today or waited until tomorrow or the next day, her life was over. We couldn't bear the thought of taking her home for one night or perhaps two, then bringing her in again. So we did it then and there, and it was awful. I must have lived a sheltered life because it was just about the worst thing I've ever had to do. But it was quick. A tuft shaved, a painless injection, a few irregular breaths, one long sigh, then oblivion. The emptiness of the house was the worst thing of all. In every nook and cranny, on the staircase, beside the bed, on the doormat, there lay memories. I would go for a walk and think I saw Sheena running in the long grass. I would wake up in the night and imagine that I heard her clicking across the hardwood floor. Weeks later, Nora was still routinely cutting crusts from her morning toast to slip under the table to one who wasn't there. Of course, time moves on. As the weeks passed into months, it began to seem possible to learn to live without Sheena. Then one day I did something we had pledged not to do. I stopped outside the animal control shelter and I looked in. Just one look, and like Lot's wife in Genesis, it proved fatal. We didn't get a dog that day, but now I was looking. I looked at the Humane Society. I looked at the Golden Retriever website. I emailed Golden Retriever breeders and quickly discovered that they are as sympathetic and kind as the dogs they breed. We had got Sheena as an adult, just under 2, and if we were to get another dog, we wanted an adult female again. Adult females are not easy to find, but I began to get a call here and there about dogs that might be available or might become available. One caller told me of a dog trainer in Kitchener who had inherited an unruly 1.5-year-old rescue, a female named Sophie, whose owners, the fourth owners, couldn't cope because of her supersonic energy. We arranged to meet. You know the rest. This is written in 2007, by the way. For 9 months now, Sophie has tried our patience and thawed our hearts. She is as different from Sheena as two dogs of the same breed could possibly be. Sheena was placid. Sophie is hyperkinetic. Sheena followed on walks. Sophie always leads. Sheena hated the car. Sophie would happily ride around all day, parking her long muzzle on my shoulder and snorting with satisfaction. Sheena was a hopeless watchdog. Sophie is the best. No one sets foot on our property without Sophie sounding the alarm. Over the months, I've tried each day to teach her some little thing. Like many youngsters, she's clever but headstrong. She learns when she wants to learn. Having learned, she is inordinately proud of her new accomplishment. Gradually, she's become civilized, although there were times we were on the verge of taking her back. But then no one would return a child, so why a dog? Slowly, imperceptibly, Sophie has learned to trust us and we've learned to trust her. One can see this in countless small ways. Even her appearance has changed markedly, particularly her eyes, which have lost a frantic intensity they once had. Best of all, the desolate loneliness of a dogless house is gone. How lucky those of us are who share our homes and our lives with dogs. Perhaps we have no choice about the next life, but if we do, I want to go where the dogs are.